Yes, well, good morning, everyone. It is Thursday morning. We are doing our wonderful show, The Spirit World Sees All. Before we begin, excuse me, I'd like to say good morning to my spirit guide, Grey Eagle, who is, as always, standing right next to me. I would like to say good morning to Chris. Good morning, Chris, wherever you are. And I would like to say good morning to all of you here who are joining us today. Now, this is the show, right? Every Thursday morning, we have this show, and this is a show which isn't really about me. It's about you. It's about all of you. It's about giving you all an opportunity to ask questions, to tell your stories. If you've got interesting stories to tell, we love to hear from you. Let me be clear: as soon as the chat dries up, is when we're done, because we're here for you, and we love to hear from you, and we love to know what's going on with you. So as soon as you don't want to talk to me anymore, as soon as you don't want to tell your stories anymore, we're done. We're good. But I'm hoping, because usually on Thursday mornings we have lots of questions. And I'm hoping that there are lots of questions, lots of comments, lots of things that we, can chat about. And I'm going to start off. I just told Chris this story. So I'm sorry, Chris, you're going to have to hear it again. But basically, this story is about what a small world this is. How tiny, teeny, tiny this world of ours, which we think is so vast, it's so huge. There are so many different countries. There are so many different oceans and seas and rivers and mountains and so on and so on and so forth. But it often boils down to this world of ours being so small. So I'm going to tell you what happened to me yesterday, just to give you the idea of how tiny this world is of ours and how extraordinary the spirit world is. Sometimes we'd love to meet someone. We know we're never going to meet them, but we'd love to meet them. And then if the universe decides all of a sudden things happen, it's an odd thing because the world is so vast, but yet each of us as individuals is guided, is steered, it's I don't like to say this because it's not really true, but it's almost sometimes as if we're like pawns on a chessboard. We moved here and here, and look how many millions and billions of people there are on this planet. It seems impossible that each of us individually, we have like this little string, sort of going from us to the universe, going to different people in the universe. I mean, it's like this amazing network of stuff that goes on and on and on. And sometimes it's so amazing that you just have to talk about it. So I'm going to talk about the experience that I had yesterday, which shows how the strings of the universe are, sort of working their magic. Let me put it that way. So yesterday, I had to go to the pharmacy. I had to pick up a prescription, and I'm not a great one for pills and potions, and I don't really take them, even if I'm with them, I don't really take them. But not that you should do that. You should pay attention to your doctor. Anyway, so I'm at the pharmacy, and I'm waiting in line. There's a person in front of me, seeming to take ages and ages. There was only one assistant helping them, and so we're standing there, and a lady comes up behind me, and I say to her, "Are you in the line for the pharmacy, or did you want to get past me?" And she said, "No, I'm actually in line." here. And as she's talking to me, there's something about her, not just the fact that she's British, she has a British accent, but there's something about the accent which is familiar to me, but I don't really know what's familiar. Anyway, so I say to her, are you British? Are you English? Because Welsh, Scottish, Irish, you name it. We got Britain is many faceted. So I said to her, "You English?" And she said yes. And so I said, "Oh, so where do you come from?" And she sort of smiled at me and she said, "Oh, you wouldn't have heard of it." So I said, "Well, I'm British too." So she said, "Oh no, you probably wouldn't have heard of this city." She said, "I come from Leicester." And I looked at her and I said, "You do?" She said, "Yes, I was born and raised there." She said, "You probably don't know it at all." And I said, "Well, actually, I was born and raised in Leicester too." And she looked at me. She's not sure if she's believing me or what's going on. But anyway, I said, "Wow." I said, that's amazing. And we started to talk. And she told me how long she'd been in the States. And I told her how long I'd been in the States. And as she's talking to me, she's talking to me about her husband. She's talking about where she used to live in Leicester, which is, as the city of Leicester is a big city. It's got lots of suburbs around it. It happens that she lived on the side of the city that I lived in. So she was mentioning all these little villages and towns. And of course, I knew exactly where she was. And she said to me, "My daughter is teaching. There's some sort of school on Ayleston Road." She said, "Well, I know Ayleston Road. I know it very well." So anyway, so we're chatting and listening to her. At some point I said to her, "It's so nice to hear your accent. You sound just like my brother," because my brother lives and grew up in this, as we all did, in this same area. Now, it happens that, I guess, because I've traveled into so many different places and I talk to so many different people from all over the world, my accent is not, you couldn't say it's a Leicester accent by any means. But listening to her, it was like listening to my brother. It kind of sort of made me feel like I was having a little piece of home given to me. It was so nice. So anyway, then so this other person, we're still waiting for this other person to finish at the pharmacy. And then I said, "So is your husband British or is he American?" And she, "Oh no." She said he lived he's English too. And I said, "Oh, all right." I said, whereabouts?" And she looked at me and she said, "Well," she said, "I have to tell you that we're from a very rough and ready area," almost apologetically saying this to me. We're from a very rough and ready area. And I said, "Well, it couldn't have been more rough and ready than me." I said, "I used to live, and I brought up on a council estate." Those of you in England listening in know exactly what I mean, but in America, I don't know how to describe it, but it's sort of town housing is the best I can put it. Not great. And some of those areas, the area that I grew up in, I would say that every third house housed a criminal. Lots of people were in prison. The husbands were in prison. The wives were dealing with the kids. It was a very, very rough area where I lived. So I said to this lady, I said, "Sorry, you can't be any more rough and ready than where I grew up." And I told her I grew up in a council house, and she's looking at me. And the thing is that I was dressed up. I'd got makeup on. I was, sort of having this nice conversation. And I think she thought, maybe she thought I was a bit posh. Anyway, which I'm not. Well, actually I am. Anyway, forget all of that. I'm digressing. So she said to me, "Well, my husband also grew up on a council estate." very rough area, she said, a really rough area. She said, you won't probably know it. I said, he lived just off of Saffron Lane, and my eyes bugged out of my head. And I said to her, and I grew up just off of the Saffron Lane also. And I said to her, do you know the Pork Pie Library? She said, you know the Pork Pie Library? I said, I spent most of my childhood in and out of the Pork Pie Library. And so we started reminiscing about this, that, and the other. And of course, we've now exchanged phone numbers. And I'm going to be inviting her for English tea. Or maybe something else, who knows? But anyway, English tea is very special. Of course, we have scones. We have you make these delicious scones. You slather them with butter. This is how you split them in half. You slather them with butter. And then you put some kind of preserve. It could be strawberry or raspberry or whatever, blackberry or whatever you want on, which I'm not really supposed to eat. But you slather it with some kind of delicious preserve, and then you get heavy whipped cream, or you get, Devonshire cream, which is even thicker, and you slop it on the top. Now, the scone is around about that shape, but about that thick, two sides, about that thick. But by the time you finish putting on all that stuff on both sides, it's like this thick, and you can barely get it into your mouth, but you have to get it into your mouth. This is what we call a cream tea. We have pastries and cakes and sometimes little cucumber sandwiches, although I don't care for cucumber sandwiches. But we have, if you go to one of these amazing hotels where they offer cream teas, it's always at 4:00, and that's what they provide. So we are standing in the supermarket. I have my friend who was with me in the supermarket. I know she's shopping and she doesn't have that much time. And we're reminiscing, this lovely lady and I, about English teas. And we know what we're talking about. But to find someone who not only born in the same city, not only lived in the same area, not only lived on the same, just off of the same street. She lived a little bit further down. Her husband was born and raised a little bit further down. Not only does she know all of this, it's sort of, here we are, just two regular people. And as I've said, the universe, it's like strings, okay? This is how I feel sometimes. Are we puppets? Is the spirit world moving us about like chess pieces? Are we going, they pull a string and we go here, and we pull another string and we go here? Sometimes it seems as if that's the way, because that is the way of being guided, of being steered, of being helped. The only thing I used to think to myself, it used to worry me tremendously. I don't want to be a puppet. I don't want to be doing what they're determining and dictating I should do. I've got a mind of my own and I want to use it. And over the years, I've found more and more and more as I've been doing this, I think we have much less free will than I would like to think we do. However, what we have choices of attitude. So I think, in other words, there are so many things that are meant to happen. There are so many people that we're meant to meet. There are so many experiences that we are meant to have. We are guided towards those experiences. We are helped towards those experiences. And so I think if you want to think of yourself as a puppet, I don't actually, but if you wanted to think of someone sort of pulling a string here and pulling a string there, I think in some ways, I think that's correct. However, it is our attitude when we are faced with something that is inevitable. Our attitude determines how we are going to deal with it. Are we going to be angry? Are we going to be frustrated? Are we going to blame other people? Are we going to use it as a lesson and be positive and be, and take it as a lesson to strive more, to strive for better, because we have choices. And the only real choices I think that we have in life, the choice, should I say, not choices, well, attitude. And attitude is everything. And so we, in our lives, we can take the good, we can take the bad. We have to. We've got no choices. Some things are inevitable. Some things, because we made a choice before, we're driven into a situation that we may not like, or we may like. Whether those experiences are good or bad, our attitude towards those experiences and our attitude towards life and our attitude towards each other is a choice. And I think that we have to realize, I would love for you all to think clearly, who am I? What am I? What kind of an attitude do I have? Am I an angry person? If I'm an angry person, why should I be an angry person? I was talking to a lady today, not today, the other day, having a consultation, and she said to me at one point, she said, my problem is I'm so angry and so bitter about the past. But when I explained to her that the things that had happened in the past were lessons that she could grow from, or they were lessons that could destroy her, she would allow them to destroy her. And anger and bitterness is so destructive. And every one of us, we come to a point in every circumstance, we probably have to make choices every day of our lives about different things. How we're going to treat other people, how we're going to behave towards other people. Are we going to be forgiving and loving? Are we going to be mean and cruel? Are we going to be those people who shout and are angry because things don't go their way? Or are we going to be grateful that we're here and using our lessons to enhance our lives? I went for lunch just before I met this lady at the pharmacy. I went with my friend for a quick lunch, and we had this lovely waitress. We go to this place often, and they know us really well, and they always say hello. Great people, fabulous people. And at one point she said to me, you're always so happy and you're always so nice and you're always so friendly to people. And I said, and we've always got a choice every day. And I said, right back at you. You're always nice. You're always friendly. You're always, even when you're busy, you make time to have a quick word with us. We have choices in our lives. And all of you are sitting there stewing over something that you don't like, being unhappy about the things that you don't like. What I'm going to suggest to you, just because I want you to be happy, I'm going to suggest to you take the negativities in your life and you look at them. I can learn a lesson from this. I can become stronger than this. Maybe I can start to think about other people. Maybe I can start to think about, it's not just about me, and it's not just about how I feel, it's about how other people are feeling as well. And even if I can't necessarily be happy for myself, maybe I could be happy for others. Ooh. Yeah, well, tough, but it's hard. Anyway, I just thought I would mention that because of this idea of strings moving us about and all of these incredible people in the spirit world having time for us as individuals. I don't know how, I can't remember now the population of the world, but I would dare to say that every single one of us has someone, or maybe a few someones, who are paying attention to us as individuals. And I think that's so remarkable. It's just so remarkable. The world, yes, is vast, but really so very, very small. Chris. Have I been talking to myself, or do we have anybody there?
If you had been talking to yourself, you look like you had a good time.
I did. I've enjoyed myself today.
No, we have a lot of people in the
Attitude
chat
is
room.
everything.
That's right. Gary started off this morning by saying, good morning to you. It's a brisk 26 degrees this morning in upstate New York.
Oh gosh. Well, all I can say, Gary, is I'm glad you're coming to me and I'm not going there. So,
And
excuse me.
we've got quite the international group in the chat room today. Violet's on from England. Then we have Gina from Cape Town.
Oh,
Selena from the Canary Islands.
I've been to Cape Town. Of course, I've been to England. Have I been to the? Yes, I've been to the Canary Islands. Keep going.
Hamali from Colombo, Sri Lanka.
I've not been to Sri Lanka. I'd love to go, but I've not been.
Well, let's see if anybody else put their country in.
You know, while you're looking, my grandson said to me the other day, I think it was last night, Mosey, who did you speak to today and where were they calling from? Because he's getting a sense now, because one day, over the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've spoken to people in India, I've spoken to people in Singapore, I've spoken to people in France, Germany, Holland, I've spoken to people in Hong Kong, and on and on. I mean, you know, so you just keep going and going. And now, for some reason or another, Reese has known this, sort of, but he's suddenly paying attention to it. So he's now asking me, Mosey, who did you speak to today, and where in the world are they? So I'm going to have to make a list of all these places now. So we just love that you're finding the time and that you're connecting with us. We love it. Today is exactly 1 month, not to the day, but 1 month to the date when we're going to have our Great Eagle Speaks. And we already have people buying tickets. I don't quite know where you'd buy them. Go to Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com or to Chris at rosemaryaltea.com. Put in the subject if you want to join in with us. Grey Eagle Speaks. It's an amazing. We love it. We're doing it for Christmas, and we're actually doing it at a special Christmas price because we disappointed so many people by having to cancel our November 19th workshop. So, you know, we wanted to do something special. So if you want tickets, they are going. We have we try to limit. So the sooner if you want to join in, the sooner you get your ticket and get yourself organized, the sooner you'll be, the sooner you'll be assured of a place. During Grey Eagle Speaks, it's a 3-hour, we're going to do a 3-hour, it's a Saturday morning. We're going to do a 3-hour, we're going to listen to see, let me explain what happens. So when Grey Eagle speaks, it's as if I go into like a semi-trance state. Grey Eagle will use my voice box. He will speak to us. You will be able to ask questions of Grey Eagle. Whether he chooses to answer them, I can't say that because I'm not the one in charge. But you know, if you have good questions for him, he is a highly evolved spiritual entity. Why wouldn't you ask that one burning question that you have about the universe, or that one burning question that you have about, you know, sort of how things work, or why wouldn't you have that one burning question about him and himself? You know, but so you get to ask questions, but we also, within those 3 hours, we spend, once Grey Eagle has spoken to him and given his wisdom, we will spend time then taking questions and giving messages from the spirit world. So you get an opportunity to ask, is my sister there? Or can you see my son? Or whatever it is you want. So we shall be giving, Gregor and I will be giving messages from the spirit world to those of you who ask. And then, of course, some of you might not want to even ask a question. You might just want to just sit there and participate, because I know a lot of people love it, love when Grey Eagle speaks. They love to be around and they love to hear what he has to say. So this is happening. It's exactly 1 month. So you've got, it's 1 month come this Saturday morning. So you've got 4 weeks. Hurry, 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 get your tickets now, because we will, when it gets to a certain point, that will be it, because we need to, this has to be, it's a special event. We don't want it to be, crowded with so many people that we don't have time. So we're going to make sure that it's a limited people, and hopefully each person will be able to get a question in of one kind or another. So that is for then. Right, Chris. So Gary, it's freezing cold in New York. I know it is, because my daughter called me last night on her way home from work, and she's shivering and shaking. It's 32 degrees. It's freezing. Excuse me, it's freezing cold. Sorry, it's making me cough just thinking about it. It's freezing cold. Ooh, and she's got a woolly hat on and her gloves and a big coat on, and here we are in Florida with t-shirts and shorts, and it's so nice here, so beautiful here at this time of year. Anyway, Chris, what else have we got going?
Oh, we had Susan from British Columbia was on as well.
Oh, right. Wow.
So Violet started off with the first question.
Go for it.
Saying, my question is a little strange. Do houses ever need healing?
Oh, now that's not strange, Violet. It's an interesting question, but it's not that strange. It's not the bricks and the mortar, but there are certain buildings, not just houses, buildings of all kinds, shapes, and what have you. There's what happens is, let's do a house. Let's just say it's a house. Sometimes you get a house, and I lived next door to a house, and I lived in a house, same energy, built by the same builder, land owned by the same people, just the same builder built one house for one person, built one house for me. And you can definitely say that sometimes the energy, sometimes it comes from the builder, sometimes it comes from the land, sometimes it comes from the people who live in the house, because buildings, like jewelry, like any material substance, absorbs energy, and sometimes that energy is good energy and sometimes it's negative energy. We've all heard of priests going in to a place and doing their thing and cleaning out all the negative stuff, and we can do it ourselves. There's a simple thing that you can do. Maybe we'll talk about that. Maybe we'll have a tutorial about how to cleanse, Chris. Write that one down, because I think that would be a great tutorial. We don't have time to talk about it intimately now, but you can actually, the Native Americans used to do it all the time. They had cleansings and so on. And when you do I'll use the term cleansing, when you do a cleansing or a healing, what you're doing is you are moving out the negative energy, getting rid of the negative energy, and you're bringing in the good and the positive and the powerful energy. The house that I lived next door to, it was the same plot of land, 2 houses built on it. And that house was, let's say, you can almost say it was doomed from the start. There was a good reason for that. because the wife of the builder really wanted that house for herself, and unfortunately she had a severe asthma attack, and before anyone moved into the house. They lived in another house, but she really, really wanted to live in that house. That was her dream house. She had a severe asthma attack, and she died. But I think there was more to it than that. But it is true to say that if you could say that a house is an unhealthy house, because Violet, you've asked, do houses need healing? Can houses need healing? If it's an unhealthy house, this particular house that I lived next door to was definitely an unhealthy house. And the house that I lived in was somewhat unhealthy also, but not as bad. Every single person who lived in that house had a trauma of one kind or another. The lady who first bought the house became ill. Her daughter experienced all sorts of, sort of difficulties. Um, the people who bought it after that, lovely people, went bankrupt. They had their own business and they went bankrupt. Really, not because they weren't working hard, because they were working really, really hard, but they went bankrupt. The people after that, he went to prison, but he used to beat his wife pretty much every day. They had two small children, and I would hear this going on sometimes. But he eventually was arrested and dragged off to prison, not for beating his wife, for something else. Anyway, but that's so. And then the next person who bought it, his his wife of 6 weeks actually ran off with my husband. Am I making myself clear here? This house was, it was just awful. I mean, anyway, so, and she ran off and left him with my husband, who I was actually divorcing anyway, so it wasn't so bad for me, but it was devastating for him. So then he went to work in Saudi Arabia, and his parents moved into the house. And as soon as his parents moved into the house, they started having severe, severe health problems. There was not one happy person ever in that house, not one ever. Do houses need healing? Yes, buildings of any kind can absorb energy. They can absorb negativity. They can absorb all sorts of things. And that energy is retained, just like when you're wearing a piece of jewelry, that energy is retained, absorbed into the bricks and mortar even, and can really, really be affected, which is why priests go in and cleanse. The Native Americans used to have cleansing, not necessarily for buildings, but for for different things. I've done cleansings before now. It's a very simple thing to cleanse. So if you're having trouble with the house, or if you feel that there's some sort of negative energy, you're not quite sure what to do with it, we shall have a tutorial and I will explain it to you exactly what it is that you need to do. It's very simple. Or if you want to, you can actually Google it. How do I cleanse my house? They'll talk about sage, and they'll talk about, different, let's say, procedures that you have to go through. But yeah, cleansing with sage is great. It's a really good thing. So I think the answer is, that was a long answer to your question, Violet, but I'm hoping that you get the gist. Chris.
Gina wants to know, can an ancestor be one's spirit guide?
Yes, without a doubt. Absolutely. Gina, look, such a simple answer, quick answer. And the answer is absolutely yes. And it's usually our ancestors, they can go back, a generation, 2 generations, even 3 generations, or more, perhaps even. Although we lose track of who it might be, don't we? Because, years ago they didn't necessarily keep records. But yes, it's very, very, it's more likely that your ancestors are going to be your spirit guides than anything else. So yes. Okay. Chris.
Selena wants to know, is it possible that my late uncle is some kind of my guardian angel, and are any of my late relatives?
Well, let's just talk about your uncle. Okay. I try not to give people the quick fix answer. I could easily just say to you, oh, yeah, yeah, that's it, it's your uncle. I could easily say that to you, and you probably would be very happy with me saying that. But I am asking Great Eagle, and for some reason, that the man that you are thinking of, whether it's your great uncle or whoever it is, the man that you are thinking of, I feel is very close to you and helps to guide and steer you. So, that's as much as you're getting from me now. And, you could always come to our Grey Eagle Speaks and get an answer, perhaps even more in depth. You never know. Chris.
Mary's saying my eldest brother passed last May, and a lot has changed between then and now. Is there a message from the universe that my family should know about? It's really awesome that you met someone where you used to live.
Thank you. Uh, okay, so from Grey Eagle here, families are not always easy. There's always something going on. There's always someone, you might come from a fabulous family and they're all wonderful and help each other and all the rest of it. But mostly families have their differences, their jealousies, their little, sort of insecurities and what have you. So I think, from what Gregor is telling me and telling me a little bit about your family, I think that your brother was somewhat of a rock. And, when the rock leaves the family, uh, you know, not easy to settle down, is it? Not easy to find the place. I remember when my oldest brother passed, it was very tough for me, very, very tough for me. So try to be patient, try to be loving, try to give the benefit of the doubt. It's so easy to criticize our families. It's so easy to blame our families for different things, but try to give the benefit of the doubt and try to see the reasons behind what someone might say, because often those reasons for hurt or resentment and what have you. Try to find the reasons behind and try to be kind. Always talk so hard to be kind when you don't want to be, but try to be kind. Chris.
Marlene says, when your mother passes and she returns to me through a song I played at her service, it happened for 2 or 3 years. Now it's rare for that to happen. Why less often?
Because she's probably busy doing other things. Give her a break here. Probably wants to go exploring. And, we, as much as we love them, we can't expect them to be there every minute of every day for us. So, give her a chance to explore. It's not that she's forgotten you by any means whatsoever. And I have a suspicion that over the next few days you might just hear from her again, just to reassure you. But there are so many things to do and so many things to see and so many places to explore. So, that's probably what she's up to. Chris.
Wayne says you're looking good, Rosemary. And
Oh,
last weekend, I was with my friends and something blew a breath of air on my cheek. It was so real and nobody was there. It was so real.
what do you mean nobody was there? Wayne. Wayne, you know perfectly well there were people there. There was somebody there. You're the second person today to tell me I'm looking good. I don't know what it is. New makeup, whatever it is. I don't know. My hair's a little longer. Chris told me this morning I was looking good, and then she told me she had to put her glasses on because she needed to see something. I started to laugh. This is why I'm looking good, because she wasn't wearing her glasses. But thank you, Wayne. And you know perfectly well there's somebody there, and you know, I think you know perfectly well who it is. Don't tell me this. You know better than that, Chris.
Judith is asking, are certain metals and stones better for us as individuals, or is it fine for us to wear whatever we choose? I know each has its own vibe.
Okay. Right. Well, we already talked about houses absorbing energy, and I mentioned jewelry. So yes, metals are, you know, they do retain our energy, which is why you need to be very careful if you're buying something. If you're buying a piece of jewelry which is second hand, you need to hold it, look at it, get a sense of it, because you don't want to buy something that someone has worn all their lives and be miserable and unhappy, because it's going to rub off on you. So when you're looking at a piece of jewelry, when you're thinking about metal of any kind, whether you're using it as a pendulum, which we talked about, whether it's a piece of jewelry, even a belt in a belt buckle, just think about what you're doing. No, I don't think, of course, you, as you can see, I like gold. I like emeralds and diamonds, and they both are. But I like gold, but I also have some really lovely silver pieces too. I just prefer gold, but not because of anything that it might do for me or give to me. I just prefer, for me, I prefer the look of it. For myself, I prefer the look of gold. So, whatever metals you want, or you're thinking about, it's not about what the metal is as much as what the energy or the metal is retaining, because metals do retain our energy. They retain energy of a place that they've been in. I have this great, it's a brass box that was dug up. I mean, it's centuries old. It was dug up out of the sand in the Arabic desert, and it's actually, you open it up and it's actually was used for makeup, because Arabic women used to, sort of make their own charcoals and make their own different colors for makeup and so on. So there are all these little compartments in there. Now, it was in the desert and it was buried for however long, maybe centuries even. And it still has just a really nice energy to it. It just feels nice. And so whatever metal and in whatever form, if it's calling to you, it feels nice, then it's fine.
All right. Barbara says, hi, Rosemary. This week is the anniversary of my mom's passing. Her name is Gladys, and she was mostly raised by her grandmother, whom she named me after. Is she with her grandmother in heaven? Does she send us signs? Is there a message from her? We miss her so much.
Okay, I'm sort of listening to Gregor as I'm listening to you and listening to Chris. I'm listening to Gregor too. Yes, yes, they are together. Yes, they are happy. Do they do they send you signs? I'm hearing this lovely lady frustratingly saying all the time. So perhaps they're sending you signs, you're not even paying attention to those signs. But yes, they send you signs, and the message is one of love, hugely. You have a wonderful family. They have an amazing bond here. Very nice. Okay, Chris.
Terry from California is asking, who is my guardian angel?
Oh, Terry, I would love to give you that answer straight away, and I've already said I don't do a quick fix. I don't know. What you need to do is and it can be with me, it can be with someone else, any one of your choosing. What you need to do is you need to book an appointment and have a consultation, and then these questions, then we've got time for this. Unfortunately, with this show, we do a Thursday show, it's only lasts an hour. And I am telling you, it goes fast, 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 fast. So I'm not prepared. I could easily make it up for you, but I'm not going to. You need to check it out. You need to do, do it properly. Find someone, book a consultation or whatever it is you want to do, and make sure it's somebody good, make sure it's somebody who knows what they're doing, who can help you and guide you in that respect. Chris.
Medi says Rosemary is full of good advice and an example to all. The first time I saw you was at a workshop in London at the Royal Horticulture Show. You're a
Oh,
very glamorous, beautiful, graceful lady. You are so amazing. Fondest love from Istanbul.
Istanbul. And you saw me in London. Oh, goodness me. I remember that event quite clearly. I had the best time. And thank you for saying that. Of course, we're going back a few years. So I was probably, prettier and younger and all of those things then. But we had a blast. I'm not sure I'm full of good advice. My advice, yes, of course, I've learned, and I know lots of things, and I'm able to figure out to give people good advice when they ask for it. Occasionally when they don't, but mostly when they do. But my information and the advice and the wisdom that I try to impart to you is what comes to me from Grey Eagle. It comes to me from the spirit world. It comes to me from a place of knowing, and a place of learning, and a place of understanding beyond that we on this earth can really understand, which is, I'm coming back to when Grey Eagle speaks. Unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable wisdom. Unbelievable wisdom. Thank you from Istanbul.
All right. Penny.
Wait, I can't wait to tell Reese. Oh, we have someone from Istanbul. Can you believe it?
He's going to have to get one of those maps that you put little pins in to say where everybody's,
Let me tell you, we would be that if we did that. He'd love that. And if we did that, we'd have so many pins. Right, keep going.
Right. So Penny is asking, what is meant when mediums speak about the quickening effect?
Sorry, okay. Well, okay. I cannot speak for other mediums. If this is me, it's just me. I'm a down to earth kind of person. When I talk about things, when I'm teaching things, I try to keep it's down to earth. Very, very, you might not like it. I know that people love to hear all those fancy terms. People love when someone is acting all sort of mysterious and mystique and the paranormal and the supernatural, and I can do all of that for you if you want, but why would I? Right? Because everything is, I know people don't want to hear it. They like all that spooky, ooey stuff. We have that in spades. We have the spooky stuff. Like, you would not believe we have the spooky stuff. But when you hear it from me, you're going to hear it in a down-to-earth way, in an ordinary, everyday, normal way. I don't do the woo-woo, and I don't do the spooky. I don't think I do anyway, Chris. Do I? I'm not. You mean? No, I don't. No, I'm just too down-to-earth for that. So, what does it mean when mediums talk about the quickening? First of all, I could tell you what I think they mean by it, but I think, you'll never hear me ever use that term ever, because, it's a term that, it doesn't really mean anything at all. It means something to this person, then it means something else to this person. But it's not what we're looking for here. I know we like the mystique and all of that stuff, but what we're looking for here is down to earth information, information that you can learn and grow from. And if you can't even understand what they mean, then how are you going to learn and grow from it? So I would say to you, I'm not being disparaging of other mediums. Everybody has their own way. My way is different in that I'm not going to use silly terms that you don't understand. I mean, you know, let's talk about the chakra point. The word, let's talk about that one word. It's a sort of a very mysterious and, sort of ooh, sort of thing. But it isn't really. It is simply, it's an Indian word. It's part of the vocabulary of those who speak that language. And I'm trying to think of a word that we would have in I can't think of a word off the top of my head now, but it's simply an Indian word. What it actually means, I'm sorry to disappoint all of you who love to use the words chakras and stuff like that. And by all means, I use the word chakra, but I'm going to tell you what it means. It means spinning wheel. The word chakra means spinning wheel. We have 7 main chakra points, which means we have 7 main points of energy which move and spin and circle and draw energy in and give energy out. And again, when we do our tutorials, you're going to know more about that. If you want to use the word chakra, feel free. I use the word chakra, but but I'm using a different language. And I don't speak I don't too many foreign languages. But doesn't it sound exotic to use the word chakra rather than, energy centers, energy points, because that's what they are. It's just spoken in a different language. So I forgot what the question is now, but anyway, quickening. Oh, that's right. Is what I think. Say what you mean to say. Say it in a way that people understand. Explain what you're talking about. The amount of times I've had this experience, I've looked at someone who's using words I don't understand, and I look at them and I say, well, you need to explain to me what you mean by that. And then they look at me and they blink because they don't know. Or they can't give me an explanation. It's going to be reasonable. Speak English, please. And if you're going to speak a different language, like the word chakra, at least have an explanation for it. I'm lecturing again, aren't I? I'm having a go again. I don't mean to. Chris.
All right. Lorraine says, I wear my mom's earrings. My
Oh,
sister and I bought her. I took them when she passed, and I enjoy wearing them.
brilliant.
Now, at times, like we all could have positive and negative thoughts, feelings, or energies, has her energy in the earrings.
Well, she obviously the earrings have retained her energy, but you're wearing them, so I think that the energy of keep wearing them because the energy is the energy of love. It's the energy of good memories. It's the energy of that special relationship that you have, and that's all you need to worry about. So keep wearing them. I went somewhere yesterday. There was a lady wearing a beautiful pendant, and I remarked upon it, and she said, oh, it was my mother's, and she said, and I wear it every single day. Now, was her mother happy all the time? No. Did her mother, have difficulties in her life? Of course she did. But what is in that piece of jewelry is all about the love of a mother, because that is the overriding energy. So keep wearing your earrings, my darling, because they remind you of your mother's love. Chris.
Rose is from Holland. She says, hello, dear Rosemary. I'm
Hi.
wearing a necklace with a little diamond in it and a little bit of ashes from my beloved husband, Jeff.
Oh, nice.
I hope he loves it, that I have it always on my neck. Lots of love and light from Holland. And yes, you look amazing, dear Rosemary.
Right. I'm going to give you a message from Grey Eagle. Here it comes. Are you ready? Your husband absolutely loves it. Some people might find it macabre to have a few little ashes in it. I think it's fantastic. I think wear it and wear it proudly and know. Oh, okay. Here is another message from him. There's something about your neck he loves to kiss. Don't ask me what, but he loves to kiss something on your neck. So I think he's a little bit of a romantic. So just keep wearing that and wear it proudly, knowing that well, why would you need him to approve? But he likes it. So, okay, Chris.
John is on from Kenya. He's
My
asking he's asking for prayers for his orphanage in Kenya. We really have some challenges like lack of food, shelter and clothing and lack of clean water.
Okay, well, John, thank you for calling in. We appreciate it. What we're going to be doing is we're going to put you and your fabulous center. We're going to put you on our healing list. We're going to be sending you healing every day. We're going to be asking God for his good energy to come your way so that you can actually get what it is that you need. So prayers are on the way.
Jeff says I have a folding pocket knife that my son on the other side gifted me, and I treasure its use and the memory.
Well, if it's the Jeff, I think it is. And if it was Eric's knife, you're doing pretty good there. You've got to keep it, hold on to it, and live with the memories because, boy, he's a special, special boy. And how is the diet going, is what I want to know. Chris, keep going.
Selena's asking, do we all have a guardian angel? Who assigns them? Or what are the reasons they are assigned to us?
Good question, Celine. I love the name Celine. Good question. Um, we all have our loved ones in the spirit world. Um, when I was telling you about this lady I met yesterday who had the pendant, and I was talking with her mother who said, "Tell her I'm the angel on her shoulder." We all have our loved ones in the spirit world who help us, to steer us, to guide us, and so on. And so, just we need to just appreciate that we're never alone. And I think that is the huge message here, that we are never ever alone. So uh, don't ever feel, even when you feel desperate, you feel lonely. I know you do sometimes. Remember, there's always someone by your side. Chris.
Violet said on Cracking Up last week,
Oh,
you
yes.
mentioned you had an encounter with a tree spirit, but you never finished the story. Could you tell us more about it, please?
Oh, not today. Violet, you should know better. But I will tell you this. I did have a very interesting, I had a patient in Hong Kong who was, oh gosh, he was a very old man and he was actually going blind. And he told me about this tree spirit that he had, and I got to know him very well, and did encounter this particular uh, tree spirit. When I was a little girl, and I'm going to advise everybody and anybody who has a child or who knows a child, if you want to bring magic into that child's life, you have got to buy them, and it's the big book. You can get it in smaller books, little stories, but they're not so good. You want to get the magic faraway tree, and I would say any adult who loves magic and any adult who loves to read. I still read it. I love reading it to my grandson. It's called the Magic Faraway Tree, and it's by, you'll know this, Violet, it's by Enid Blyton. And there's a lot of magic goes on in that tree. And when I was growing up and I read that, I would imagine all sorts of things. And sometimes it wouldn't be imagination, it would take me to places that I didn't even know existed. When my daughter was little, of course, I would read her stories from the Magic Faraway Tree. And when my grandson was born, one of the first things I bought for him was the Magic Faraway Tree. You got to get it, everybody, because it's all about magic and, imagination. But this, you know, there's a very fine line between what is imagined and what is real. And with our children, we want them to, increase their imaginations and become more imaginative, therefore more creative. But we also want it to sort of be that bridge, if you like, that takes us sometimes across the void to experience the real magic, is what I would call. Okay, Chris, keep going. Thanks for the question, Violet.
All right, you're at time right now, but I
Yeah,
can
I
give
mean,
you a few more comments.
here is Violet asking me to tell a story that probably takes 20 minutes to tell. I will tell it one day more in depth if we have time. But let's take another couple of questions, and then
Yeah.
we can be done.
Eric's wondering if you can share your scone recipe.
Of course. Oh golly, I've got a few. I'm going to say I'm not sure. I think most people have heard of Paul Hollywood. If you go on YouTube and Google Paul Hollywood scone recipe, awful lot of baking powder in there, and it doesn't sound quite right, but actually they're pretty good. They're really good. But if you want mine, I like putting raisins in mine. So I can certainly share it with you. But go to YouTube, go to Paul Hollywood. He is not my favorite person, but he's a great baker, and he really knows his stuff when he's talking about cooking. So there you go. One more question. I didn't expect it to be about cooking.
I'll give you two because they're on the similar wavelength here.
Well, before we get off cooking, my bread last week, if you remember, was rising when we were on the show. It was delicious. I took it to my neighbors. They loved it. Today I'm making Moroccan rice because I'm going over there for dinner. And so I'm making real delicious Moroccan rice. If you want that recipe, I can give you that recipe as well. Anyway, so sorry, Chris, go ahead.
All right, so Annika says, it's a small world after all. I noticed that frequently and I loved your story.
Thank you.
And Gary says, I love how the universe throws things at us that seem important for our journey.
Yeah, all those strings working. Yeah, I mean, I was listening to, I can't remember who it was. I was listening to a little bit of politics, and this guy was talking about America and how, you can sort of visualize America as if, it's Gulliver. Hopefully you all know the story of Gulliver's Travels. Gulliver was a huge giant living in a land of little people. And the story goes that one time when he was, I guess he was sleeping or something, and he woke up and all these little people crawled over him and tied him with little ties. And as big as he was and as strong as he was, he couldn't get out of these restraints. I don't think we're restrained. I love that analogy, and I love it for America as well, because definitely, we need to get back to, and I'm not American, but I feel very strongly all of us, we need to get back to, having our countries free and unrestrained and, sort of working in a good way. But when I think of the strings and all that come from the spirit world, I don't think they're restraining in any way whatsoever. I think they guide and steer us. And let me tell you, sign me up, I'll be a puppet. But my mind, remember, I make choices, and I choose my attitude. I think that's the perfect place to leave it. So thank you, thank you. My goodness, we had so many people from so many countries. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. We love talking to you. We love the questions. Okay, so I'm not quite sure what's going on next week. It's an odd week next week. But we will be keep going to our website. We'll be posting when we're doing our tutorials, when we're having our healing sessions. We'll definitely be back excuse me, next Thursday morning for more of this stuff, and we'll probably have more information of what else we'll be doing. Remember, on the whenever it is, what day is it, the 12th, did we say?
December 14th?
14th. Ooh, can't even remember it. The 14th that we are having Grey Eagle Speaks. I'm so excited about it because it's very, very, very rare that we hear from him directly. I think maybe in all of the years that I've been doing this publicly, I don't even think it's more than 3 or 4 times. So it's a very rare and very exciting. So if you want to do that, book your tickets now, because as I've said, we are limiting the amount of tickets. We don't want a huge audience. So we'll be back next Thursday for another show. In the meantime, please, everybody, have a very, very blessed rest of the day. I'm saying thank you to Grey Eagle. I'm saying thank you to Chris. Thanks to all of you. Have a very, very blessed rest of the day, everybody. And please make it a fantastic and blessed weekend. Twist your attitude. Be positive. Be grateful. Be thankful, as I am. I'm thankful for all of you.